Usually a movie starts with some opening credits music, guiding the audience towards a certain genre that the movie's going to be it comedy or horror, so that they know what they're getting themselves into. With Let the Right One In, there's no such pandering. This effectively creeped me out a lot more than it would have if there had been opening credits music. And also built up a huge amount of anticipation because you don't quite know what you're getting yourself into. Whether it's going to be straight out horror or romance or art housey, the answer is it's all these things at once. The vampire girl Effy is fairly traditional in terms of her vampiric weaknesses and powers. She burns in the sun, needs to be invited in, hence the name of the movie, needs blood to survive, is immortal, so she's really old, even though she looks like a 12-year-old. She's agile, speedy, strong, and can fly. She's very much like an animal, and what I mean by this is that she feels real. This real feeling is achieved by how subtly her powers are revealed. Sometimes, if you blink, you'll miss them, or you'll catch them out of the corner of your eye, or they'll be off-screen or in the dark. And the only way you know what's happening is by a brilliant use of sound effects, or a shot of the aftermath. You never actually see her fly or see her fangs. If you see any Hollywood vampire movie, they're gonna have the fangs protruding, but you never see her fangs. But you know she has fangs because there's obvious kind of fang puncture wounds. You never see her fly. You just hear the sound effect. It's always off screen, and it cuts to a shot of her being in a new place. This movie is the epitome of having audiences' imagination do the real work. Not saying that there isn't some brilliant special effects in this movie. There are. The CGI is very well done. It's very subtle. It's subtle is the word for this movie. Really, it never overly does stuff, and it's never like, I'm all stately that I have these superpowers, ha ha ha, look at my world, I'm gonna run up a mountain. Overstating her power and being all gaudy about it wouldn't work for this character because she's trying to stay hidden. She's like Galactus. Galactus eats worlds. It's nothing personal, but he needs it to live. It's all about survival. She kills to survive, to stop people killing her, or to hide her identity, or simply to eat. It's all really visceral. The risk involved in getting caught killing someone and disposing of the body and stuff that other vampire movies just don't explore. They don't make it real. They kind of have these nonchalant vampires who kill people and then leave the bodies, and there's no consequences. All in all, she's pretty much alone. She's not in a pack of vampires. And if she was to be hunted down, she can be subdued and killed. In terms of gore, this movie doesn't lack in grisliness, but the gore is used sparingly and artfully. It's never gore for gore's sake. This is not a popcorn movie, and the lack of overly gratuitous violence makes the climax of the movie more effective. And there is a bit of gore at the end, but the majority of it is left to the imagination. I'm not going to tell you what I see in most of the scenes, because I want you guys to see this movie and not have my version of it and then you see it. The love story between the 12-year-old boy Oscar and the vampire Ellie is really sweet. It's like, there's so much moments. The boy falls for Ellie before he finds out that she's a vampire, so it's not the mystique of vampirism that gets him interested in her. She's a sweet girl, and they're both kind of outcasts, so they kind of click because they're trying to get away from other people that they feel won't get them, and they're protective of each other. And she tries to distance herself from him at first because of the bloodlust thing, and this movie does vampire bloodlust better than I've seen in any vampire movie. She's looking at him and going, I want to be your friend, but you're like heroin to me. She doesn't say it, it's all visual. That's the brilliant thing about this movie. You don't need long scenes of exposition. Just, you're my own private heroine. It doesn't need to say that. Like, you can see it in her eyes. The acting from these two kids is so amazing, especially the girl playing Ellie, because she has to play a really old vampire, and she's like 12, but you can feel it, like the maturity behind what she's doing with her character. She can't help but be drawn to someone who genuinely loves her. So, it's a genuine love. There's nothing gaudy or superficial. It's subtle and deep, which is way better than saying, oh, you're so beautiful, oh, you smell great. Having less surface stuff and having those really sweet scenes where you kind of go, wow, they really care about each other and they're loyal and everything, as their basis for their relationship without all the vampire stuff. It feels so much realer that way. So, big thumbs up for the sweet love story. And here's a bit about the hype of the movie. It's won over 20 international awards. If you know Empire in Australia, Empire magazine in Australia, gave it 5 stars, saying it's a rare blend of art house and genre. Critics rave that it'll be talked about for years to come, and that it's one of the most brilliant narratives they've seen in the last decade. So, you may ask yourself, why haven't I heard about this movie? Well, the simple answer is it came out at the same time as another vampire movie, and while it had awards and acclaim, this other movie had a big-ass marketing campaign. And it's a foreign film, so it's subtitled, and foreign films don't get that good distribution, and it wasn't released for long as well, which is a real shame. I got to see it because the Astor Theatre rocks. Those worried they'll be reading subtitles too much can relax. The dialogue is kept to a minimum, and there's a certain beauty in its simplicity of language and not feeling bogged down with pointless conversation and narration. It's a tale that is told mostly visually. I rank this movie amongst my favourites. From its bittersweet love story to its serious and haunting portrayal and analysis of what being a vampire is all about. A real look at it, because not a lot of vampire movies do that. They just go, I'm a vampire, suck blood, gore, boobies, possibly romance, blah 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 blah. Dialogue, I have supernatural powers, look at me. It's not that type of movie. It kind of goes into what is a vampire? It's like an animal. It's, laws of animalism. Though other vampire movies, they go, well, it's a monster, it's evil, it kills for pleasure and is demonic, and this one treats the vampire as an animal, which is really good. I like that it's kind of ambiguous about whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, it's killing people, but it doesn't have the same right to exist as a lion, and it leaves for very interesting debate. Other movies, not so much. I give it 5 knife fingers out of 5. For some people, they might find it too arty and might want some more commercialized drivel that's been pumped out of Hollywood lately. Some may be turned off by the gore, what little there is, or find the movie too slow for their fast-paced, must-have flashy bright colours and quick succession minds. I think the slow pace ratchets up the tension perfectly. It's a slow burn, but it doesn't drag. Music and CGI is not overused, but when they are, they don't call too much attention to themselves, like, ooh, look at me, I must cost a lot of money. Sound effects and visuals are used to the full extent. The vampire Ellie feels real, and she's something mysterious and supernatural just by jumping down from playground equipment. This movie is all about subtlety and atmosphere, in a genre that's recently mired in unrealistic, unsubstantial, and gaudy characters. I suggest that you see this movie for yourselves and come to your own conclusions on whether you like it or not. But you owe it to yourselves to see this movie to the end. This has been Topcat, and I hope you enjoyed my nice review opposed to my Wolverine Origins review. And I shall see you guys soon in the new year. Booyah.